Welcome back to Remuneration Essentials. I'm Caroline Ford, Senior Associate in the Employment Law Practice at Arendt.
And I am Louis Arendt, also a Senior Associate in the Employment Law team.
And today we're focusing on a directive that is set to transform workplaces across the EU, the Pay Transparency Directive.
The Pay Transparency Directive came into force in June 2023, and it will fundamentally reshape how companies approach pay equality across the European Union. Member states have until 7 June 2026 to implement the directive into national law, and companies should start preparing now for the changes they will need to make.
And although Luxembourg already has equal pay mechanism in its labor code, this directive goes much further. It directly targets the persistent EU-wide 30% gender pay gap through enhanced transparency and stronger enforcement measures, and will apply to all employers in the public and private sectors, regardless of company size. So Louis, let's dive into it. What's the fundamental principle behind this directive?
Simply put, equal pay for work of equal value. This means jobs requiring comparable skills, responsibility, effort, and working conditions must receive equal compensation, even if the roles of the employees themselves are different. Therefore, companies will have to set up remuneration structures that uphold the principle of equal pay for equal work or work of equal value. Let's look at the practical changes, Caroline.
First, candidates must be informed of salary ranges or starting salaries. Second, employers can no longer ask candidates about previous salary history. But how are existing employees affected by this directive?
In collaboration with employee representatives, employers must establish objective and gender-neutral criteria for determining remuneration levels and salary progression based on skills, effort, responsibility, and working conditions, and make these criteria easily accessible to employees.
Employees also gain significant new rights. They can request written information about their individual pay level and average pay levels for colleagues doing the same or equivalent work, broken down by gender. Employers will have to inform employees of this right once a year. But that's not all, right, Louis?
No, that's not all. The reporting obligations are quite extensive. Companies must disclose their gender pay gap data to a monitoring body, including base and variable pay gaps, median gaps, and representation across pay quartiles. The reporting timeline depends on company size. Those with 250 or more employees must report from 7 June 2027 onwards.
But what happens if there's a significant pay gap?
If there's a 5% or greater pay gap that can't be objectively justified and the employer doesn't remedy it within 6 months, they must conduct a joint pay assessment with employee representatives.
And what about enforcement measures?
The directive requires member states to establish effective, proportionate, and dissuasive penalties for violations of rights and obligations related to the principle of equal pay.
The directive also creates some worker protection mechanisms, such as shifting the burden of proof if workers claim discrimination. So, with all of this coming up, what should companies be doing right now?
Start preparing immediately. How can employers best prepare?
Review their job classification system, pay structures, and internal processes. And remember, whilst Luxembourg hasn't yet published a bill of law, the 2026 deadline will arrive quickly. So, contact us if you need further guidance and stay tuned for the next episode.